Jaydin, what is your topic?
Let's let me go.
All right. Audience, are you ready?
Yeah.
Jaydin, are you ready? And proceed.
Okay, so my topic is the blood eagle, one of the most dangerous and painful execution slash torture. We've all heard of torture methods throughout history, such as hanging, the electric chair, the Judas chair, multiple other ones that I frankly won't go into detail. So, and what is it? I'll go further detail on what the details is on how it's performed and what the history of it. But the history of it is it was primarily used around 800 AD to 1100 AD, or the prime age of the Vikings, mainly used by the Danish kingdom and the Swedish kingdom, which are pagan. That'd be a point for later on. And how does it perform? So they would cut the skin open slowly, not killing. During the blood eagle, the victims are kept alive throughout the ordeal, while the ribs on the back are broken one by one. They are sliced and detached from the spine to spread apart to expose the lungs of the sacrifice. In some cases, the punishment goes further, having the ribs, the lungs, and even the intestines used as the bloody wings. It is which this horrific image the name derives. Viking Heritage 2023. Yep. To see, they would unzip it with a specific type of arrowhead. We suspect that a particular type of Viking spearhead could have been used to unzip the ribs. Yale University 2021. The most infamous person to die and why it was used. Well, the most infamous person to die is King Ela, mainly because he killed the father of Sigurd, Snake in the Eyes, Ivar, the Boneless, and Bjorn. Ragnar, that's the father's name of those three Vikings. So, where it was used on King Ela here, it was used where Ragnar died in the snake pit. See, Ragnar was trying to invade England while Ela of Northumbria here was king, known as the army of the deceased or something like that. But King Ela succeeded in defeating Ragnar, and then the Danish kingdom reinvaded England and killed King Ela. And why it was used, there were two main reasons the Vikings used the blood eagle on their victims. First, they believed it was a sacrifice to Odin, father of the Norse pantheon of gods and the god of war. And the second one was more plausible. There was a blood eagle was punishment to honor us individuals. All that is interesting in 2023. Now, it was controversial because there is no historical evidence on this yet. No archaeological sites yet. Well, we don't primarily know between 800 AD and 1100 AD just quite yet, because the Vikings aren't known for writing stuff down. We have to use, say, German tribes, or the Germanic tribes, I should say, Russian tribes, Frankia, or now modern day France, and even England and Rome at some points, which now should be the Byzantine Empire at this point. Even the Mongols had to deal with the Vikings. Even Rus, or now modern day Russia, had to write down all the Vikings' tortures and their adventures. Now, throughout the centuries, there were many different execution methods to condemn and kill a criminal or a prisoner. Some of these incredibly brutal, such as hanging, drawing, and quartering, and also the breaking whip. But there was one history's most brutal and savage, the blood eagle, used primarily by the most brutal and most savage civilization to ever exist, the Vikings. The fortress concluded in 2022.
Okay. $503.60. The first. On that second part, one of them. 503 is the time on that. Take a moment, go through. I really am all about taking notes during the speech and then coming through afterward and making sense of my notes and kind of translating them to the rubric. Remember, you'll get my rubric stack the following day after your speech. Yeah, something to that effect. Oh man. When you finish reading Jaydin's speech, please hand him your evaluation. And then he'll take a look at it, and if you go, make sure I get all the evaluations before you leave. Because otherwise, I can't grade your speech if you don't. You said hand to you, Jaydin, yeah, and then Jaydin will bring back to me. You next, you take next. Hey. You fine? Jaydin, this is too good to be done. Three more.
Stop it.
Yeah, what do we ever end up doing between recording and having your presentation? Are you just like sharing iPads or?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you for solving that on your own. You get all evaluations back to Jaydin? I'll take that as a yes.
All right then, Tate, what is the topic?
The Mississippi Flyway.
Semi-SSI, SSI, PPI, keeping track. All right. Audience, are you ready?
Yes.
Tate, are you ready?
Yes.
And proceed.
A flyway is like a highway in the sky, said a Three Rivers article on August 24th, 2020. The Mississippi Flyway is a crucial part of our ecosystem, not just at a local level, but at a state level and even at a continental level, because the birds start up in the northern parts of Canada and work their way down through the states and to the Gulf of Mexico and into Central and South America. The Mississippi Flyway is a very part of our ecosystem because millions of birds travel on it or using it each and every year. Today we'll be discussing what the Mississippi Flyway is, what affects it, and what is being done to help it. So let's begin. The Mississippi Flyway is very complex. It is made up of 14 states, as you can see here, and birds start up in the Arctic and move their way down through the states to the Gulf of Mexico, where they spend their wintering months. More than 325 bird species make the round trip each year along the Mississippi Flyway from their breeding grounds in Canada and northern United States to their wintering grounds along the Gulf of Mexico and in Central and South America, says an Audubon research group. No date provided. The Mississippi Flyway runs, the states around it surround the Mississippi River, which is a crucial part of the Mississippi Flyway. What role does it play in our ecosystem? It acts as a guide for birds as they come down in the fall time where they spend their wintering months and where they can winter out in the warmer weather. And then it acts as a guide as they go up to their summer or breeding grounds in the spring. What a typical migration would look like is just a big flock of birds that are traveling using the generational instincts that have been passed down from generation to generation, and as they go upward. So now that we know what the Mississippi Flyway is, let's learn what affects it. The biggest effect right now is human errors. The biggest human error is the BP
otherwise known as the Deep Horizon oil spill. As you can see, this pelican is coated in oil from the oil spill down in the Gulf of Mexico that covered and destroyed wintering areas. According to a National Geographic article on April 17th, 2020, a decade later, many species such as deep sea coral, common loon, spotted sea trout are still struggling and their population is lower than before. The Deep Horizon oil spill was devastating to the bird species. Even if the birds weren't in the Gulf of Mexico at the time, it destroyed their wintering habitats and forced them to find new ones, which also forced many species to shift flyways, which was very devastating to the ecosystems that rely on the birds. The next human error is cities. Cities popping up in new places does two things. It destroys habitats that the birds are using, and it forces them to shift away from the cities or fly around them because cities do not provide the resources that birds need on migration. So it's shifting the flyways because they cannot travel through them with very much success. Another big factor that is affecting it is nature. Nature takes a toll on everything, even nature itself. Climate change is forcing birds to either migrate later in the season if it's warmer, or earlier if it's too cold. This early or late migration has devastating effects on ecosystems because resources that the birds use are being overused while the birds are in the area, or they're not using enough and things that rely on the birds are now not there. Now that we know what affects the Mississippi flyway, let's learn what is being done to help. There is habitat help, which is mainly done through Ducks Unlimited. Ducks Unlimited will go and work with the local DNR areas to provide and form new habitats that the birds can use as a safe haven on their migration paths. And then the next one is Audubon. Audubon mainly works down in the Gulf of Mexico, and they clean up and are working to clean up and restore wintering areas that have been affected by the BP oil spill. So both research groups are working very hard to help the bird species and keep flyways where they are and the bird species that are there. The next big program is the US-Canada banding program. According to a Ducks Unlimited article on March 22nd, 2006 by Dr. J. Jasper Laminate, band recoveries by hunters are an essential source of information for waterfall managers. This information that is provided helps researchers decide whether or not the species are in the right and correct areas and whether or not they are thriving where they are. And this information is crucial to our environment. Now we know what the Mississippi flyway is and that what is being done to help it. Now we know that it is very important for our ecosystem and our environment. Thank you.
Okay.
You need no cards, Mr. Chancellor. Sorry.
I got 515. Oh, now I think about it. I actually don't even know if I already said it's your job.
Okay, and then
That happens. See if you can swiftly use this. I seem to remember that happened a couple times and I feel like people just kept going and it worked. Maybe. Worst comes to worst, you'll have to borrow mine.
Yep.
Yeah, push moving.
That's mine.
Okay.
No, that's your.
No, this is mine. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, this is yours. This is yours. Okay. It's probably about sense.
I'm just too nervous. You know, I didn't.
Once I understood the information, it was more so given working kind of like a conversation with them.
Yeah.
So I was very confident. You could tell. It was a lot of honest. I had no idea what it was happening. I'm trying to control my movements, so I'm sure I had a little something. There was definitely some movement about size and growth and things, but it was a little bit, yeah. You did.
Okay, it didn't last too long.
I'll show you. But please, you can do it. Really, really still outfits initially. Obviously, on that, but then, see the top, well, the phone is great, look like it was. We're trying to do. I've heard what kind of this forward guys, obviously, he's, however, I said that one. Yeah, yeah, you stay over it. Kind of like, video information public. And, yeah, I'm already saying. Nice on audio, yeah, on, yeah. Things like. Those. Oh, the truth, send that out, that was the precedent. Right, yes, you can get the pieces and all that, so. You can need all of these back by the end of the hour.
Yep, I mean, yeah, leave them with me when you leave, and that way I can work on
Connect.
them.
There you go.
Take some time to fill out the evaluations, I mean. We still got 17 minutes left of class. One thing I really try to do with rubrics is I try to give reasons why, if something isn't. Topped off, or if I'm taking points away, I really try to give reasons why. So articulate that instead of randomly just circling or putting checks in spots. Like, what I'm saying is be aware of, the decisions you're making and why you're making them.
We turn everything in separately, right? Like video is one thing,
Yes.
all the pictures that we would take are another thing.
Yes, which reminds me, I need, yeah, because you're gonna take pictures of your note cards.
Pictures of note cards and then pictures of every evaluation, correct?
Yes.
But then we can turn.
Or you can scan them, I'm not gonna use it.
We can turn in a digital copy of our outline. That way that looks more professional.
Yep, yep, digital copy of outline / we're excited. Okay, the inform. Did and.
That isn't.
Oh, I can do this.
Okay. We just have to show.
I will, you space that up, I will have those two things up at, the start of next hour, I'm just gonna get that great speech going, and then I'll be able to have a spot for you to get your videos and get your, documentation. So, give me 15-20 minutes past the end of the hour, and then we'll be up for sure. Alright, are we done with Tate's stuff? Okay.
Tanto, should I just hit my record right now or just have Damien?
Damien, would you do it?
Thanks, that'd be great, yeah.
Doing a good job at it. Alright. And. Drew, what is the topic?
The battleship turbines.
All right, audience, are you ready?
Yeah.
are you ready?
I am ready.
And proceed.
The battleship Tirpitz was Germany's largest battleship during the World War II period. The German battleship Tirpitz was built starting construction November 1936, November 2nd to be exact. The ship weighed 53,500 tons, making her the largest ship ever to be in the German Kriegsmarine. Oftentimes, many people know her sister ship, Bismarck, but few people talk about the German battleship Tirpitz, which actually has a lot that is unknown that should be known. Battleship Tirpitz was built with 4 main batteries, 15-inch main batteries that would be. It had 3 props that were 15 feet in diameter that powered through the high seas. There was also 6 boilers that powered them props that ran at a temp of 475 degrees Fahrenheit. Tirpitz had given Germany a big ship, the Navy, to fight the oceans. Bismarck class DK 2014. Tirpitz was commissioned in February 1941 on the 25th. It took her about 2 years to go from being, as you can see here, this picture in the hull, that would have been the launch day of the hull, April 1st, 1939, to being fully commissioned with her crew on board and full armament. Tirpitz then started her career heading straight to the North Atlantic right away, heading into the regions of Norway, where she was sent to try and deter and destroy as many cargo ships coming from the Canadian and US regions going to the Soviet Union, where she was successful. Here you can see her in just a full picture of the hull or just of the ship. And then here you can see this is the destroyer Prince Eugene looking on to the battleship Tirpitz, and you can see some mountains in the background, like I mentioned, in the northern regions. Operation Tittle was the British attempt to use 2 human torpedoes that were towed by a fishing boat to attack Tirpitz. This is one of the earliest battles on her. They towed the 2 fishing boats, or they pulled the 2 torpedoes with the fishing boat to close to the ship, and they actually successfully enabled the ship to move for a while. Did not sink or nothing, but she was immobile, and it took her down for a while, and then the Tirpitz actually destroyed the fishing boat. So it was a British effort kind of to act undercover and in disguise. This is Tirpitz in Norway. You can really see the view of the mountains and the snow. And this is where she spent most of her life, in this climate. Now we're kind of getting into Tirpitz's career in the north more so. And here you can see Tirpitz's paint scheme with the white and gray to match the mountains. Tirpitz was attacked multiple times at the end by battleship or by Lancaster bombers, British Lancaster bombers. 36 bombers on November 12th of 1944 attacked Tirpitz in Operation Catechism, rendering her useless, capsizing her. 3 tall boy bombs that weighed 1,200 pounds each destroyed her, capsized her, killing most of the crew. Her mere presence forced the Allies to maintain a considerable amount of force. KBismarck.com 2020. Hitler actually believed that battleships were useless and he wanted to get rid of them. Donit's decision constituted the Tirpitz to the death knell. So Karl Donitz wanted to keep Tirpitz in the North Atlantic and get her up, and Hitler just thought they should take the guns off and use them as land defense. Yeah, so overall Tirpitz served a pretty good life. She did a lot of things and was a prized symbol of the German Kriegsmarine. Something that will forever live in history as well renowned in the Kriegsmarine and forever be known as a target that was prized by the Royal Air Force and Soviet forces during World War II. Thank you.
Thank you. 5:57.
Awesome. There we go. Something went wrong. No.